right, awesome. So for the first thing that we were talking a little bit about before the stream, that has caught my eye, the alpha for the Six Dragons, at least for me, has come out yesterday, and I was able to hop in and
Hmm.
stream a little bit. It is an open world RPG, so similar to the likes of Skyrim and so on and so forth, where you start off level one, you got different skills, you go out and you accept quests, fight monsters, level up, unlock your abilities. It's a little, as you'd expect from a point zero one version alpha, rough. Only a couple different types of monsters, one island type area, land for you to go out and explore, and no quests. But the content is it's still really fun. The graphics look amazing. The trees, the grass, the lighting, the terrain, all of it is just absolutely amazing. The
Hmm.
enemies, while not a whole lot of variety, are definitely quite unique in their different types, and so that's really exciting to see. And overall, I've been enjoying it. Not to mention, it is on the Engine platform, where most of the top-rated blockchain games over the past couple of years have been released from. So hopefully, they'll be getting into beta, release within the next year, and then to an official release within the next year or two. I don't know if any of you
Uh-huh.
guys have checked it out at all or have any comments on it, but
Oh,
yeah,
I
definitely quite
have
enjoyable.
actually. I've gotten it installed on my machine right now. I can't wait to dive in. It's already been loaded up and whatnot. I noticed they have two login styles. They have the blockchain login and then they have the regular login. Could you quite possibly elaborate on the differences right now, currently?
I haven't done anything with the regular login. As far as I know, you start up the game and you go to blockchain login where you sign in with your engine account, and then you connect the wallet, with the QR code to the game. So that way, any assets that you earn in game, blockchain assets, non fungible tokens, will automatically go
Hmm.
to your engine wallet. Meanwhile, since it is an alpha, your progress of the player is going to eventually get reset, for testing purposes as it moves on to beta, and then, obviously reset again for the full release. Just so that way, when the game comes out, there's not people already max leveled and have everything unlocked and all that. But any, blockchain assets that you earn, which there are assets, none that I found so far, but ones that you can find in the higher level, areas of the game so far, that will go to your wallet and will stay there permanently that you can trade or sell or collect up and whatever for once the actual game, the official release does come, so that way you can still use those assets. But I haven't done anything with the regular login. That would just be if you want to go in and test it. If everything's going to get reset, you just want to do it for testing out the bugs, checking out the game, whatnot. So I would recommend, if you're going to go and play it, especially since it is on the blockchain, to use your engine account and sign in so you can collect those crypto assets.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to playing it and watching the team pretty much birth this project. Honestly, great things forthcoming to Ethereum and for Ethereum side chains in the gaming space. So yeah.
Yep, yep.
In other news,
Mm-hmm.
let's go ahead and touch base on what Stadia announced today, which I think is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
They,
So go ahead.
oh no, proceed, Jerome. Might as well, since I know you love Stadia so much.
I sure do, and man, I was excited to talk about this one with you guys today.
Hmm.
So with Stadia, what do you mean I'm quiet? Do you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So with Stadia Connect today, they announced several new games. We already knew about the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which looks pretty clean. Pretty excited about that. But we got a update from Ubisoft for Far Cry 6. Oh my goodness, guys, that game looks so clean. I'm so excited. But we haven't seen any gameplay. It was just a video of the a teaser release. But even with that, I'm excited to check that out. We got to
Hmm.
see Serious Sam 4, which that game has some, it's going to be fantastic. They're saying that they're going to be able to hold up to uh, 100,000 enemies all at once. Like you'll be able to see all of those enemies in one map at the same time while playing. Like that's
That's
crazy. 100,000 enemies.
unparalleled. hmm
Yeah,
That's
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 ridiculous.
never been done before, really, if you think about it.
Another few games that they announced that got my attention, one of which has some new features. I think might have touched upon it last week um, with the new app Crata. You can be able to do state share, but now we got another new feature that just released today that's called Play. So I can be able to generate a link for my game and be able to send it. And if you also have Stadia, you could be able to click on that link and join my game. So
That's
now
pretty cool.
not only can I share the state of my game where you can be able to help beat this level for me or see if you could beat the level, stuff like that, but now I can also send you a link and have you just directly join me from a link in a browser. Like that's mind-boggling. If you told me that I'd be able to do that a couple of years ago, I would have thought you were crazy.
Nah, man, that's the power of JavaScript and the reason why Flash is so obsolete. Hey, so they also announced a couple other titles: Super Bomberman R Online, the Outcasters, and Splash Damage. Not to mention ports for Hitman 3, Sekiro, which is a really good RPG. Shadows Die Twice is pretty much a cult classic nowadays, and a couple other exclusives, man. Like seriously, it's like I'd say Google is making some serious strides in the streaming gaming space, and we shall see what comes of it and
I had a
how.
long debate with one of my friends yesterday who really thinks that they should be getting more exclusives. What do you think about their exclusives lineup?
Um, you know, I think for the most part that they're just doing what they can right now to secure capital in the space. The shares of streaming content, because there's a lot of people that can't afford consoles right about now, and this is the perfect solution, really. So they're just doing whatever they can to embolden developers to create exclusives, and also make sure that it's great for the platform. It plays well on the platform. So honestly, they don't have any blockbuster titles. They didn't procure like Bungie Studios with Halo, for instance, or like Gears of War to be based on Stadia exclusively. Like they don't have any like huge titles that are absolutely phenomenal that pretty much everybody's childhood sort of resonates with. But they are making strides. They are doing the best that they can with the tools that they have. So yeah, I. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was just saying,
That's
I'm
awesome, man.
excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's freaking epic. Hey, so Annalise, do you want to talk about the meteoric rise of Chainlink in these past couple of weeks? It's been up like 80% overall in the past week.
Yeah, I've been actually investing a little bit into Chainlink as it's been going up. Right now, people are saying that's basically the Tesla of crypto, which I think is kind of funny. Because if you guys know where Tesla is at now, I think it's over $1,200 just about. Like Tesla was flying this year, absolutely flying. So I mean, as a company, it's a very promising company, and it has lots of sustainability behind it as a whole. So I feel like investors have because they've continuously shown that they are reliable. I think that people are actually taking it more seriously. It's altcoin season. Like people have been saying, it's altcoin season. Overall, all of the altcoins are up. Bitcoin hasn't been up too much. It's up about I think 14% today, or 0.14, I think it was, or 0.41, something like that. It's overall it's lower than what the altcoins have been running, and it's actually down for the month I believe. I'm pretty sure it was up at like 9,400, 500, almost up to $10,000 mark. Again this month, but it's all the way down at 9.2. So a lot of promising, gains for the altcoins right now. In
Yeah.
correlation with Chainlink would be VeChain. They have about a 93% correlation rate. So if you guys are, looking for any assets that might correlate with Chainlink, what was it? Cardano and VeChain are the ones that correlate closest to it when it comes to tech and just overall price movement. So
Yeah, that's a bold statement, I guess, Annalise. But as you mentioned,
well, it's
88
true. If
Cardano
you
like
look at
that, but
the
because
charts and you compare them, yeah. Well, Cardano isn't the same thing as
it's
Chainlink.
not.
VeChain is closer to
It's
Chainlink. But
yeah.
like when it comes to like chart and correlation, they are actually the two closest asset to Chainlink gains.
I don't believe in Cardano's price discovery at all, but that's a debate for another day. In case the audience is not aware of what Chainlink is, it is technically just a JSON parser with its own mainnet designed to connect JavaScript-based applications to Solidity. It's a bridge from the traditional IT sector into Solidity for decentralized applications from centralized data access nodes or endpoints. So yes, it is pretty much being used by major corporations all around the globe, including central banks. So yes, that's the main reason why there's a ton of hoopla and a lot of
Ton of
driving
hoopla.
monetary action. Yep. Um, Another coin that's been causing a lot of hoopla is Dogecoin within TikTok, but I'd rather not elaborate on that. A little bit of a pump and dump. When it comes down to it,
Dogecoin had
I
dumps. It was up about like it was like at
uh-huh,
0.004 whatever, and then it had gone
mhm.
down to like 0.003, whatever. It's a pump and dump. Doge doesn't have anything that's really backing it, or a real project. It's a meme coin. So it's just one of those things that it's kind of just there for the most part.
Exactly.
It's
Mhm.
it's and it's really funny because I don't know if you saw the video of the kid on TikTok saying like, listen, you don't have to know what this is. Just, everybody take $25 and we'll all be rich. And I thought that was like the funniest thing because I mean um Doge was pumping, people were actually taking their money and just, throwing it in there. Uh and they, didn't even know what Dogecoin was. And I was just like, oh, is that how we explain it to millennials? They're here for the money, so just take your money
Yeah,
and throw it
well,
in.
yeah, that's the reason why I didn't want to
Not the
touch base on
millennials, I'm
that
sorry, the Gen
actually.
Zs.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say I'm Gen Z, so like honestly, I'm not for sure. It's all about due diligence. But the fact of the matter is that cryptocurrency is programmable currency, and nobody's actually programming on Doge. It's actually obsolete. I'm pretty sure it could be 1% attacked any day now.
Of
So
course.
yeah. Anyway, so let's elaborate on the concept of these correlations that you mentioned. Um, like VeChain, for instance, I'm not sure like how they're tied into the Chainlink's mainnet, but I'm sure that HBAR Hashgraph is using Chainlink's mainnet,
Hmm.
which is one of the DAGs that I'm really excited for. It's a quantum encrypted DAG, and it's powered by Chainlink. And for some
Hmm.
strange reason, it's not actually moving in price. It's still staying stagnant. And this is like one of those DAGs that's ran by major corporations like T-Mobile, Boeing, et cetera, et cetera. The big Fortune 500 boys. I'm surprised that they haven't been seeing much price action on their assets. What do you think that's about? Mind you, this is a third gen DAG. Like this is a DAG that can do like 10,000 transactions per second. So
Um, that's a good question. You're right. It has stayed pretty, stagnant. It's bounced between, pretty close numbers. There's not much price movement. I mean, it could be stability, which is not bad either. Stability is a good thing, and or there may be I guess a huge up movement soon or down, depending on, usually when like things consolidate and they consolidate in price, it either shoots up or shoots down. If they have been remaining stagnant and they continue to prove their validity, and if stakeholders and investors continue to see profit in the project, of course, then at that point in time, I feel like it'll form a flag or pennant and it'll shoot up. So I don't know. I don't think something remaining or consolidating or remaining stagnant it necessarily means it's a bad thing, or it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It just means that the asset is proven its value, and it's not being overvalued or undervalued. It's remaining at a steady rate. And whenever it does go up or down, that would be up to like I said, stakeholders and investors. But I think it's not a bad thing. I think that as long as it stays within a certain range, it just proves that it's worth its value almost. Like, you know what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Yeah.
Chainlink recently surpassed Binance Coin and Litecoin at the same time in capitalization, because its market cap surging like past $7. And a lot of people are speculating that this is due to DeFi. People are staking a lot of Chainlink and a lot of Tezos right now currently with like Avwa and Coinbase, etc. So do you think that this is the beginning of a new bubble?
So I don't a bubble. Perhaps. Maybe. There's a lot of following behind Chainlink. Chainlink has proven to be reputable. I don't particularly think it's a bubble. I mean, we hear that all the time. Tech and technology is here to stay, so I don't think it's particularly a bubble. Do I think that maybe it's going up too rapidly and there may be a price correction soon? Perhaps. Chainlink had went down, I think it was like 10% yesterday, but it shot up all the way to, I think it's like at $8.34 now, last time I checked. So it passed that $7 mark. So I see that there is some price correction, but it's not enough to actually drop the price for any more than 24 hours without it continuing to go up. It's been on a uptrend for the past few weeks now. Altcoin season is among us. We're about I want to say halfway through the year now. We're going into August. The halvening was, what was it, May, I think, right? Was it May,
Yep.
March? I don't remember. It was just the other day, but we're getting closer to that 1 year mark where technically we may or may not see Bitcoin take off and hit higher numbers or record numbers. We don't we don't know yet. We can only speculate. And then naturally most of the altcoins follow. So I feel like possibly there could be a price correction soon, but if Chainlink continues to be staked, like you mentioned, and Tezos has been up too. Tezos, I think, is almost at $3 now. But I don't necessarily see it coming crashing down anytime soon. I want to say I think that we're on a steady uptrend. I think it's a steady uptrend. I don't even think that it's ridiculous, because I mean I've seen there's been coins that have been up 1,000%. Those have obviously snapped back and have adjusted. They were probably pump and dumps for the most part, but I don't think that. I think we're at a steady pace right now. I think we're okay. I don't see this crashing down.
So Annalise, with that being stated, you and I are on the same level. In fact, I think that ultimately that since Bitcoin dominance is actually going down, it's like literally interesting to watch the fact that people are fleeing Bitcoin into these altcoins, and the market cap of the entire asset class is actually still just going sideways. Do you think that this is a realization that Bitcoin is somewhat obsolete and that Ethereum decentralized applications might actually be experiencing a bit of funding? And also, to add to that question, when do you think that we'll see some capital flight from the traditional sector, which has been getting trillions of dollars per day? Wall Street's been getting tons and tons of stimulus into this asset class.
So I actually saw something today, an article that was saying that Ethereum is theoretically speaking worth more than Bitcoin. And like you said, there are people who are starting to realize that. And the main reason why is because it's a little hard to really make, the gains that you would want to see on Bitcoin, especially if you're newer and you're getting in. Like that guy was up here saying, like it took a while for him to break even and eventually make a profit. Because he, mostly because he didn't trade and he didn't sell during that, the last peak that happened a few years ago. But Bitcoin is king of the hill, and a lot of people see it as a store of value, but that's just it. They don't actually want to spend their Bitcoin. They don't actually want to use their Bitcoin. They'd rather keep Bitcoin. And the problem with that is that the market then doesn't actually move. If those, trades and those buys and sells aren't actually happening. I feel like people jump on to Bitcoin, and the whales that, can afford to buy, large amounts of Bitcoin, jump on, and Bitcoin will take, a temporary run. But for people who are getting in and they're starting off, a lot of people are here for the money. Not everyone is here for the tech. The OGs, tech and money 50-50 split. But the overall consensus that I've been getting from, like crypto Twitter and like other online platforms is a lot of people who are coming in new, they want to invest in hopes of making some capital. And a lot of them, they, don't have necessarily the money to buy a couple, Bitcoins, but they do have the money to, let's say, buy 1 million Doge. And if Doge goes to $1, then they just made $1 million, So that's where these lower, priced altcoins really make a difference, and they really stand out for themselves when people see that they're making the gains that they want to see. There's a lot of people who prefer the altcoins over Bitcoin because of that, and that's the main reason why. Not because of the tech, not because of the company behind it, but literally because they want to see those gains. Bitcoin could be knocked off and from King of the Hill, and may just be considered just for value that people collect over time, and maybe because it's a collectible, it would drive up the value. But I definitely see that altcoins are making a leadway in adoptability. More, there's less and less maximalists every day, I feel like. Because they're starting to realize that the gains that you would once make, even if you do buy $10 of Bitcoin every day, or do some easing, it's not as much as you would get with any other altcoin that's out there. So
for sure, I completely agree. Honestly, I think that most people in the space don't understand what programmable money means just yet. And the few that do realize, I'm amongst them, and they actually understand what the real platforms are, where you should be, involved, and what NFTs are, and how to actually take and stake and, pretty much get better returns than you could at a bank, like easily, without any of the counterparty risk of a bank run or asset forfeiture. It's literally, honestly, the greatest thing to happen to humanity in our time. So here's a hot take.
Yeah.
What about what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink? Have you guys read about what's coming soon next month? They're supposed to be disclosing a lot of awesome information.
So I saw the article very briefly. I think the thing that I read that I looked into the most was something I saw last week regarding the ability for Neuralink to help with things like depression and mood swings and chemical imbalances in the brain. That's something that I found most interesting regarding Neuralink and the announcements that they're going to make. Just because there are a lot of people who deal with depression and they'd rather not because it's not particularly fun. I know Jerome was telling a little more to me about it. Jerome, what's your input on that?
I had to jump in there, so thanks for go ahead and giving me the leeway. But that's something that I think is definitely gonna advance our abilities with both just mental, cognitive, what we can understand from people's brain and how it works, how it functions. I can see where blockchain will be able to integrate with that technology in some way, shape, or form. As of right now, I'm not 100% certain. It's still all just, hypotheses as to what we could do with this technology. But I do think that trying to, aim for what Elon Musk talked about, helping people with certain disorders right now is going to be the best way to start with that tech, creating a use case for it and then building other, capabilities afterwards. What do you think could be an outcome of this new technology?
Um, I would like to see the ability to quite possibly use our thoughts in sync with the cloud. Literally setting reminders, memos, maybe even sharing memories directly from our brain to a central unit. That way, we don't have to worry about, you know, forgetting about crucial things that happened in your lifetime. Because there's a lot
I
of
get
people that
that.
experience Alzheimer's,
Do you
and
think Alzheimer's and dementia will become obsolete?
yeah, definitely. You know.
I think it's a possibility, and I think that,
Mhm.
there's a way that you could be able to, like you said, set a reminder, do all these different things, and having the connectivity with other things. I think that it would be great to have that, let's say, connected to a blockchain where it's interoperable, being able to exchange information and being able to keep track of the transaction data all on, whether a blockchain or some database that is not just centralized to Neuralink or whatever platform has that data.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
So
like, my thing is, a lot of these illnesses and diseases that are caused to the brain or cause trauma are due to lack of oxygen to your brain. Now, when you think of Neuralink, it's supposed to, like, help like depression, chemical imbalances, things like that. But when it comes to like major chronic illnesses, how would it combat you as a person who's aging, lacking getting oxygen to other parts of your body? That would be that's the question, right? Because it's not that you forgot your memories and you just have horrible memory and that's what Alzheimer's is. It's literally your brain degenerating. So if your brain is degenerating, will this technology still work? Will it, like if your brain dead, you're not really comprehending. So these are kind of like the questions that I feel like need to be answered before we really know whether it will in fact null out things like dementia or Alzheimer's. It's a little tricky if you're going brain dead. You know what I mean? Like that is you. So I don't know. Like, do we have the capacity of replacing the brain, which is literally telling your body how to operate? Like, can this technology, mimic your neurons, mimic your thoughts, mimic sending signals?
Well, apparently Elon Musk came out during a press conference, and I believe it was 2018. He stated that it's been done by a chimp and a lab rat. So we will see what they disclose later on in next month, which is honestly probably going to be cutting edge, something because he's been waiting to announce this for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what the future holds for the gentleman. Like he's honestly definitely on the bleeding edge of technology when it comes down to integrating Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz frequencies as a brain like interface to your computer, which I think is honestly like the next step to becoming one symbiotically with AI. And as we know it now, like AI is currently being researched by the DoD and deployed as a weapon right now. So we'll see
Is
what
that
happens,
so?
what comes of this. Yeah, exactly. Amazon won a big contract from the DoD to build an AI supercomputer on the basis of Homeland Security. So we
Well,
shall see what all
Bezos,
this
Bezos.
means. Yeah, this.
I didn't know that one. That one's interesting. I didn't know that they were
Mhm.
building an AI. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I think he's muted.
Uh,
I'm gonna unmute.
thumbs up.
Oh, okay. So the thing with where your brain deteriorates if Neuralink would still work, Do you
Mhm.
guys think that in the future, you can just put your brain in a artificial body, and then
That's
I think
exactly what I'm hoping for.
Like
yeah,
Futurama.
kind of like
yeah,
I think it's not going to be your brain, physical brain. It's going to be like having a
yeah, you
data
can
stack, like an
upload.
ARM chip. Yeah, it's like
Exactly,
having like an
uploading the
ARM chip.
brain.
Yeah, like
I
that's
think I think
you.
I think let's say not the Neuralink 1, but let's say like the Neuralink 10 or 15 is going to get to the point where it's going to be able to read your entire brain, download all of the data, and be able to upload that to a server. And some people will say, well, that's not you. Some people will say it's a clone of your conscience. Whatever you want to say, it's still going to be, your brain, your memories, your electric activity will be able to
Mhm.
upload to a server and transfer some of that information to other people. I think that's fascinating, as well as if you can upload it to a server, you should be able to upload it to a robot and literally put yourself into another body.
I don't believe
Yeah,
in having server access points like that for that kind of sensitive data. I think that it should all be decentralized. I think it should all be stored on DAGs and
I agree.
literally kept private, because of course that allows evil geniuses to sort of mangle people's identities and access
yeah,
to specific like genetics. But outside of that realm, I think for the most part that like having the ability to upload your mind to the internet is already happening right now. When people upload videos of them ranting without showing their face, just their thoughts, like that's pretty much them being a biological bootloader to a botnet, if you really think about it. So
I guess you could say
really,
it that way.
I'm literally kind of on the fence about how I feel about it, honestly, because Google is pretty much storing all this data centrally, and they're mimicking and making shadow. Facebook is making shadow accounts. I'm not sure if Google is doing it, but they don't have the best practices of privacy either, on the basis of this. But imagine like decentralized tech giants doing this for people's entire livelihoods, and then having robots walking around in society too. More like literally, let's be real here. The Spot Mini just came out not too long ago, and that's kind of available for consumers if you can afford the price tag, of course. I think it's somewhere between 20 grand to 50 grand for a little robot pet dog. Who's to say that they're not working on a robot human right now,
That
like
little pet
a
dog is
companion?
like
Yeah,
is how much? How much is that little dog?
it's like 20 grand, but it's upgradable to be like 50 grand. It have
The little
even
one
more
that like walks
utility. Yeah,
around
the
and
yeah, the
it
Spot
barks. You
Mini.
can play with
Yeah,
it.
and the
That's
Spot Mini doesn't.
crazy.
I don't. No, the Spot Mini doesn't bark. I don't think it barks. But it has like a microphone, a speaker on it, and whatnot. So, and you can even tap into it, and it has a camera that you can
Nuts.
see through the controller, and the controller looks just like a console, a video game console controller. So yeah, who's to say that that same company isn't working on a human cyborg or a human robot that could pretty much replace humanity as we speak? So yeah.
I mean, don't they have what's the full body one called? Spot is the dog version, but the full body one, I forget the name of it. I can easily see where 3, 4, 5 iterations from now, it's going to be able to replicate a human and or upload your consciousness to it. So who knows? I agree with you. It should definitely be decentralized. We should have more access to that data. I'm hoping as we pass more laws that we'll get to that point where we have more control of that data. And if we need to give access to certain data, we could be able to just send that file to whoever we need to, or whatever platform that needs it temporarily, as well as pulling it back. That's one of the things that I think is most important with blockchain technology integrating with private security, private information, being able to not just, provide it, but being able to provide the data temporarily. If you give your doctor your files, they have it. You don't have your files; they always have it. Whereas with blockchain technology, you can release it to that doctor temporarily, and then if you switch to another doctor, pull that data back from them, and they no longer have access to it. I think that's going to be crucial for privacy when it comes to that point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. Say, speaking of laws, I'd like to touch base on the LAED laws once again, which is pretty much breaking my faith in humanity currently. The idea of breaking encryption, including all blockchains right now, is pretty much still in limbo in on Capitol Hill. So definitely tell your friends to hit up the representatives and let them know that encryption must stay. Encryption must reside. No government mandated backdoors. That's not cool. That's not a good idea. We got to protect our water supply. We got to protect our personal lives. We got to protect Social Security. We have to protect children. We have to protect society as a whole, and we have to protect the robots. Robots deserve encryption. Humans deserve encryption.
So, how far along is that bill now? Because last time I checked, it was going up to Congress. Is it still going up to Congress? Have people, gotten off of it? Like, what's the deal with the bill?
It's on the floor. It hasn't passed yet. So yeah.
Okay.
Still
Yeah,
in limbo.
I know that they're in recess right now, but if you guys don't know about the LEAD or the Earn It Act, I encourage you to look it up. Basically, in a nutshell, what it is it's telling the government is telling companies that if they can't hack it, you can't have it. So going forward, the Earn It Act basically eliminates certain encryptions. If you guys remember back when there was a suicide bomber in the Air Force that had killed, 3 cadets. He was, I think, in Maryland or Florida, some state. But he basically had an Apple iPhone, and the government went to Apple and told him to open it, and Apple said no. And because of that, this is kind of why this happened. In addition to, I'm sure everyone knows about Epstein, and what happened, and all the sexual misconduct and child trafficking. That's also something that derived from this bill and caused it to happen. They basically are trying, quote unquote, to help track child or human traffickers, and protect the children from this ever happening again. So initially, they technically need a warrant to get all this information from the company. But if you read the bill, there's certain parts where they can do things like tap and trace, where they can tap into your devices without having a warrant if they use a non-disclosure agreement. They also want backdoors for quote unquote foreign intelligence, which if they have a backdoor to the app, that means they have a backdoor to everyone. They have access to everyone, which is where it's concerning. And then regarding devices themselves, anything that's over a gigabyte, like a phone or a computer, it needs to be like not hack proof, but like it needs to be hackable by government entities, basically. So they need to reduce the encryption that is currently on your phones or computers going forward. So, if you know anything about privacy and security, obviously that's not good. Because if the government can hack it, then that means anyone can hack it. Because people are people. Essentially, the hackers are people. So it's not. It in the sense you can say that it would help them, but it also puts millions of people at risk from getting hacked and manipulated. Chances are they're not going to actually catch more sexual predators and or traffickers, only because if you're putting this out in the news. And people who are doing this, they sell humans for a lot of money, upwards of $100,000. I'm pretty sure they have the tech and the money to, evade and avoid things like this. You got your small guys who are from other countries like India, but Epstein was rich. He had his own island. He did this for a living, and I just really don't believe that if they do this, it's going to help. It's just going to put a lot of people at risk. So learn about it and do some research on it. I think I'm going to start a petition against it because I really do think that it's not something that we should have. You have a question?
On the basis of like the hacking, not the government, if they can't hack it, you can have it. Say
Right.
Neuralink, if it's connected right to your brain and connected to your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say what if someone hacks that and then they're sending signals into your brain, like because will it ever get approved by the government?
So that's one of the things that I like that Elon Musk talks about with it. It's not a two-way communication device, it's a one-way communication device. So Neuralink will only take data, it won't send data. There's not a way to send data to your brain through the Neuralink. It's just a probe that's inserted to your brain that's just taking the electric data. So as you know, your brain's just filled with a lot of electricity. Electric bolts, let's call them. The probes in your brain is just detecting those, where they are and what they're, how far they're going, and it's measuring that data. So you can train things like thinking, call mom, call mom, call mom. If you think of that 10 times, it'll be able to see the pattern in your brain every time you want to call mom, every time you sing the alphabet, all the different things that you program it to do. It'll be able to see how your brain reacts to the command that you're trying to tell it to do, and then it's just studying that pattern to be able to allow you to be able to do things with your brain. And it's going to be a great way to study your brain, but end point, it's not a way to communicate with your brain, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Well, at least it does it. You can't do that. That's a safeguard, at least. That's cool. I didn't know that it was a
Yeah.
one-way communication.
I like that. That way, there's no like up bandwidth at all. Like that's amazing. Honestly, it's like a one-way highway. It's the super highway from you're down, like pretty much.
I heard
Yeah, so on that point, let's go ahead and talk about some of the different events that are coming up, letting you guys know. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's been a great podcast. We do this
Mhm.
every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, come check out on Mondays when we do VR Crypto Mondays. Annalise, who do we have up for next week Monday's speaker?
Next week's speaker is going to be Qdom. They are a blockchain company, and they will be speaking. I think John will be with us, one of the heads at the company. So that's going to be fun, and that's going to be next week at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So every Monday, Crypto Mondays VR, we have it here in Altspace, so you guys can come through. And I believe tomorrow we do a lot of gaming stuff. So tomorrow is a Story Game Wednesday. That will be in our main room. And then Friday is going to be VR game night. That's when we do gaming. And then Saturdays at noon, we do gaming meetups and tech meetups where we kind of just have fireside chats about tech.
Mhm. Well, this has been Patrick, Jerome, Annalise, and Brian with Blockchain Universe and Block Decentral and Bits and Tokens. Have a good one, all right, guys? It's a wrap.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have yourselves a great night, and we